VAKOGS, as you can see here, this is the acronym. I'm going to go through what it stands for. And basically, it's to do with our senses and how we take in information about the world. And one of these is probably your dominant sense, but we're a mixture of probably all of them. It's just about determining what is your dominant sense, or what are the ones that you mostly receive information from. Are you visual? Or perhaps auditory? Are you kinesthetic? Do you feel things? Are you olfactory? And a lot of us, we know now from science that our sense of smell can be one of the most evocative senses. You can smell something that takes you right back to childhood. For me, it's the smell of furniture polish, because every time we visited my grandparents' house, they had a lovely wooden table and it had been polished, and they had a wooden banister which had been polished. So you walked into that house and there was the smell of furniture polish. And I loved going to visit my grandparents and I loved where they lived. So that was always, gave me that sense of coming home, coming back to a place that I love to be. Gustatory, our sense of taste, which is very highly linked to our sense of smell. And self-talk. What are we saying to ourselves? How are we interpreting and narrating our lives to ourselves? What are we saying about our experiences? Our self-talk can be something which very much sends us back into stress, and it can be related to the very symptoms that we experience. So I said before about maybe having a bad back, or like I had hay fever years ago, and every time I had it, it was, oh, here we go again. And oh, I'm sneezing so much I can barely breathe. And I was telling myself all of this, and my body was listening. So when I was saying, oh, I can barely breathe, my body was hearing that and was therefore experiencing that. And that was, our belief, our thoughts create our beliefs, create our filters, create how we experience the world. So every time I was, oh, this is so awful, I was feeling worse. I was feeling bad about feeling bad. And I was setting myself up for more of that, because that was what I was focusing on. That was what I was feeding. So this is where self-talk can be such a huge aspect. And if we can notice and observe our self-talk, see how it leaves us feeling. Does it lift us up, or does it make us feel worse? And if it's making us feel worse, how can we start to shift that? How can we start to reframe that? And if you want to know more about that, I share some exercises in my upcoming book, Take a Walk on the Wild Side, which can really support you to start shifting and reframing your self-talk so that it is something that's more uplifting, more expansive, more hopeful rather than hopeless. All these little things that we can put in place so simply and easily, and that really can have a huge impact and effectively shift us from where we are now to more where we want to be, and further and further and further, the more we practice them and build them and expand on them. And it becomes, it gathers its own momentum, because we start to have fun and we play with it and we just add and we develop. And it doesn't have to be big and difficult and painful. It's those small, simple steps. It just takes consistency. It's just a matter of practice. And because it's practice, we don't have to get it perfect first time. We can just play with it and have fun with it and enjoy it, bring joy in to the whole of the process.